Hi, I'm MilkyT, and this is a demonstration on how I created the promiscuous remix using Logic Pro. And it's just going to go through a few styles, a few techniques that I've picked up along the way. I'm just going to demonstrate these, show you how I do a remix.
What kind of girl do you take me for?
When starting a remix, it's always good to have an idea of what track you're going to do and what style you're going to do, what genre, what BPM, and how you're going to construct this. Through this process, I decided I was going to do an electro-pop style and just use a sample of a vocal. This is going to be at 128 BPM, and I'm going to keep it in an electro style, sort of housey track, bringing influences from DJing and past experiences into this remix. So the loop is from a Somatics pack, the high quality loops. I've put it in, I've selected them all and time stretched them, so to say, transpose it's called on Logic, to the BPM. So these are a sample loop pack that I've got from Somatics. There's a bunch of selecting of drums in there. This is a synthwave, popwave sample drum kit. And basically added it in. On the toms, there were too high pitched, I didn't like them, so I've added the step effect, as you can see here. It's got 3 different effects on it. Down, transposed it -12 as well, so it sounds a bit deeper and a bit more rugged. Just moving stuff out of the way here so I can set up the intro, what I want to hear, the instruments I want to hear when they're playing them. And as you can see, everything's synced in. It's got time stretch on, transpose for Logic users, time stretch for Ableton users. And then I'm just pre-mixing the drums in. I do this on some parts. I find it's easier when it comes to the final mix down if half of the stuff's already mixed down semi already. It's coming on quite nice, the beat is. Reminds me a lot of like 2000 electro pop sort of. Doom 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 doom. Yeah, there's a lot that use this kind of synth poppy wave in the electro back in the early 2000s.
What kind of girl do you take me for?
So here we're going on to the sample. It's Nelly Furtado with Promiscuous Girl. So here, this is how I set up my loops so they fall in on time. So if you press Alt-P in the arrangement folder, this menu will pop up. And then if you change the select imported files to bars and beats, anything you drop in audio file will drop onto the bar and beat. So here I'm just going through the track to find parts that I like. When one of the important things about doing a remix, if you're using a sample like this, it's good to take elements that people will remember from that sample if you're not using other parts or elements of the track. This gives a recognition, and it will also help you boost up your popularity of your remix that you've made, because people will recognize that track from the original, and you'll probably get about 50% of them automatically liking it because of this.
You don't.
So I decided I'm going to use that little bit of the chorus with Timbaland singing there. Forgot his name, I went totally blank. And a little sample of a vocal there saying, "You ready?"
How you doing, young lady? The feeling that you're giving really drives me crazy. You don't have a play about the choke. I was at a loss of words first time that we spoke.
You looking for a girl that'll treat you right? Have you looking for in the daytime with a light?
You might be the type, if I play my cards right, I'll find out by the end of the night.
You expect me to just let you hit it, but will you still respect me if you get it?
All I can do is try, give me one chance. What's the problem? I don't see the ring on your hand. I'll be the first to admit it. I'm curious about you. You seem so innocent.
You wanna get in my world, get lost in it, but I'm tired of running. Let's walk for a minute.
Promiscuous girl, wherever you are, I'm all alone, and it's you that I want.
Promiscuous boy, you already know that I'm all yours. What you waiting for?
Promiscuous girl. Promiscuous girl, you're teasing me. You know what I want, and I got what you need.
Cause we on a roll, you ready? Roses are red, some diamonds are blue. Chivalry is dead, but you're still kinda cute.
Hey, I can't keep my mind off you. Where you at? Do you mind if I come through?
I'm out of this world, come with me to my planet and get you on my level. Do you think that you could handle it?
They call me Thomas, last name Crown. Recognize gang, I'ma lay mine down.
I'm a big girl, I can handle myself, but if I get lonely, I'ma need your help. Pay attention to me, I don't talk for my health.
I want you on my team.
So does everybody else.
Baby, we can keep it on the low. Let your guards down, ain't nobody gotta know. If you would a girl, I know a place we can go.
What kind of girl do you take me for?
Promiscuous girl, wherever you are, I'm all.
Everybody else.
Baby, we can keep it on the low. Let your guards down, ain't nobody gotta know. If you would a girl, I know a place we can go.
What kind of girl do you take me for?
Promiscuous girl.
So I did delete some samples that I cut up and I selected there that I was going to use, but just out of pure randomness I deleted them and they didn't get used.
Wherever you are.
So here I'm refining the samples that I've cut up, cutting them smaller to bars, so everything falls in a oil loop, so to say. So when I come to use it, it's sounds good. Yeah, I'm just fine tuning, basically taking off the tip because it wasn't needed there. I'm about to drop bang straight on it, and as you can see, the lines at the beginning of the they line up. And then you can see that I repeat that little bit to create a stutter. So I'm not just still using the original bit, but then I'm editing the vocal as well. Here I press Command and J, and it then links the audio back together, so it's one bar again. So if you see, it's back to the 4. That again. So here I'm adding some effects. So I choose to add the beat breaker here. Now beat breaker is a selection of effects that are all compiled to work together. They've got loads of different selections, and this is like a gator with a volume fade, and as you can see what it's done to the vocals, this is a very prominent thing in a lot of dance tracks these days across the board. Just biceps for one of them, just to mention a name. So I'm going to drag over the step effects which I previously applied to the toms on the drum loop, and it's added a lot of reverb and effect to it. The effects on that are automated, and you can link them with the 3 other different on that. That's also got a gator. Here, you also mess with transposing the vocals, which is changing the pitch. You'll make a lady sound like a bloke and vice versa, and you can also make people sound like chipmunks. The standard is 12 semitones up or down, which is just moving it from key to key. But then, I mean, it's up to preference. If you want to change key, you find out how many semitones you need to move it to change the key. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. A lot of people use auto-tune. You know, there's different ways of doing this. You can use Malodome as well. You know, there's loads of different ways. Malodome is a thing that's with Logic only. Yeah, so here with this vocal sample, I'm going to make sure the ready lands on the beat. And then I'm going to use a snippet from the front of it and reverse it so it adds an uprise effect into the vocals, which you'll see in a second. I was going to delete it then, I was like, no, don't do that, take it instead. So that's what I did. Cut it off here and reverse it, adding it down to a new track. Come over to the menu on the left side, hit reverse, there you go. So now I'm going to set up my basic vocal channel effects, which consists of an echo first, then a reverb, and then a stereo delay. And move the wet down on the echo and the reverb to between 20 and 30%. And then I always put the right side up on the stereo delay. It's just one trick I do. I like it on the right side. And as you can see, it adds a nice little flow out to the vocal as it's playing through. So at this point you can see I've got my samples laid out a little bit at the intro. So it's what I'm going to do. I'm going to extend them out, set them in place for a mini intro. Keeping in mind I'm a DJ in my spare time, so I like the intros. I tend to have everything on a 30-second kick, so every 30 seconds something changes in the track. It's just a trick that I use from DJing to DJing, even though DJing's changed from a lot when I first started on vinyl. So now we're going into the bass line. This is the chord progression I chose. The song is originally a B flat minor, so I searched my vast library, B flat minor, and this chord progression came up. To make the bass line, I basically took the root notes out of the chord progression and chucked them onto a different channel, adding on the synth to find the sound I was looking for. Because I'm going for an electro poppy style from like the early 90s, mid 90s. That's a lot of my flavors that go into my tracks, making my tracks. So as you can see here, I'm grabbing the root notes and dropping them down into the next track after I've added the synth onto it. The bass is going to reflect the song basically. As you can feel, that's just got a nice little electro feel to it. This is going to get changed a little bit throughout. Obviously you'll see the processes as we go through. So I had a little problem with the BPM here, admitting my mistakes. Because I made this on a different computer than my original home studio, there's a few settings that when you drop in a MIDI, it comes with metadata which involves the BPM key signature, so on and so forth. If you don't turn this function off when you drop it in, it will automatically drop your song's BPM down to original BPM of that what's it, which in this case is 120. So it drops from 128 down to 120. It took me a while to figure this out because obviously the settings on my own computer, this doesn't happen because I've already got it set out. So as I'm going in here, I pull down the top menu, which shows the markers, the BPM key change throughout, which you can automate. You can add in markers such as the chorus, vocals, so on and so forth. I'm a pattern and a mold kind of guy, so I don't necessarily use this, but when you look at the finished track, you can see the general build of the track with the intro, the chorus, the verse, the drops, the breakdowns. You can see them in the process in the pattern of the actual track after the final arrangement. So here I'm just about to finally suss out the BPM problem. And there you go, I've sorted it. Now that's going to stay now. And then again, I'm going into a bit of arrangement again, extending it out, going slightly, still in the intro-ish, going past it, trying to find placements for things, just seeing what I like, and going through. So that was the chord progression that I'm going to use, and I'm just going to go in now and start messing around. You can see there highlighted, that's the root notes that I've used for the bass line, which we talked about earlier on. I'll eventually remove them from this, and then I'll go and change the playing method of the notes and chords by editing a few out. I'm just opening up a new channel and selecting an instrument to put in there. So there you can see I've got rid of the root note. Also another mistake here, due to not being on my own computer, there is a little green button at the top of this chord progression. It's about halfway between 2 and 1. With that being pressed on, every time I press a note, you can hear it playing over the chord progression, which is a rookie mistake by me. Apologies there. So if you press that, if you are editing while the chord progression is playing, them chord note presses will not be heard when you're removing the notes or adding notes. They'll just play next time round in the loop, not play if you've removed them. So I've cut quite a lot out, bare bones, and then what I'm going to do here is now edit it, trying to make it more uniform on the duration of pressing the sustained press. I'm not going to change the velocity on him because I believe that adds flavour to it. It's a human element. We're not going to all whack keys at the same time at all the same strength, you know, unless it was a robot. So here you can see I've just used the beginning of the main press and cut the sustain down on it, and I'm going to do a stab basically with these chords, leaving some of them out to just play normally, and just add flavour and rhythm, groove to the track. And as you can see, I didn't like the double with the space, so I added the 4 in. Press the wrong button there. And I'm just duping it over. So with these, I decided not to do it because they were too close together. I'm doing the rest, and notice how I haven't changed that top note, it's still off. And I'm leaving it there. Miss them next two lots. And then do this last one here on the 4. And if you can go back to the beginning of the video, you'll able to hear the original. as you can see, I just changed it up a bit, changed up the instruments and the sounds, and then did a bit of mixing, trying to blend it in with the sounds that are already there. I tend to do that a lot with stuff I add in sometimes I forget. But yeah, majority of the time I do pre-mix it as it's coming in. So here I'm going to start again doing something else. So here I've just duplicated the previous stab setup and taken away the added ones and just using the beginning of the note. So it just adds a bit of emphasis on that first press. And then I've changed it to strings, and that's the first stabbing, which you can, so it's not as announced as it was with the glass glockenspiel type sound. It's more subtle in the stabbing process, but I still like it. So this is just the violins. I'm just changing some of the effects on it, trying to define the sound that I want to hear. Moving things across. So now I think I found most of the sounds I like. I'm just going into refined stuff, and I'm going to go into my arrangement. Now I'll talk you through the process as we go through what I'm doing. See, I'm just making sure stuff drops on the beat, and it's all falling in nicely.
Baby, we can keep it on the low. Let your guard down, ain't nobody gotta know. If you would, girl, I know Baby, we can keep it on the low. Let your guard down, ain't nobody gotta know. If you would, girl, I know a place with.
Cutting the sample down because I didn't like that. I just wanted a little bit. So here I'm just adding a bass amp for dynamics. As you can see, it lifts it up. Adds a bit of stereo depth to it as well, width to it. I do that on most basses, to be fair. Some of them need it, some of them don't, but I find it does quite well straight out of the tin. By straight out of the tin I mean bod standard settings when it comes on. There's plenty of options on there, there's presets on there that you can go through and change, but just a little tweak here and there, and I find it normally works out just fine, to be fair. So you can see there with the synth, with them piano and the strings, I brought in the main body of the song and drop it out again. Keeps people in there.
Maybe we can keep it on the low.
Trying with that sample again.
Maybe we can keep it on the low. Let your guard down, ain't nobody gotta know. If you would, girl, I know a place we can go.
What kind of girl do you take me for?
So you go in and see I'm just arranging stuff.
Maybe we can keep it on the low. Let your guard down, ain't nobody gotta know.
Didn't like that sound.
What kind of girl do you take me for?
Promiscuous girl, whatever you are, I'm all alone, and it's you that I want.
Didn't want that on either. So basically what I'm doing at the end of the clip there, you can see, so even that's only that part playing on Promiscuous Girl. If you grab the bottom corner, either the left or the right, it will stretch out the original, show you the original audio that's there. It's just back saved. Just what you see is what's playing. But if I wanted to, I could stretch it all out and get the whole vocal back again just off that one bit. So it's just all about refining your sounds, what you like, what you want to put across in the song, what goes nice, keeping in with the idea that you originally started with as well. It falls nice.
What kind of girl do you take me for?
See, I just noted a mistake when I left them keys on there, so I'll take them out. And then I realised that they're on the other ones as well. And they need to be on that one. So I'm going for another instrument here. And I think I'm going for a bass.
Take me for.
So I created a new bass there with the electric guitar, and I'm going to add that to the intro now to make the intro a bit more softer.
What kind of girl do you take me for? What kind of girl do you take me for? What kind of girl do you take me for?
So I was checking on the loop and extending out the drums. And there I've just grouped the two basses together so I can put the multiple effects on them instead of singular. And renaming the drum stack as well.
What kind of
So here I'm adding some automation on with the volume to bring it in slower at a slow pace.
what kind of girl do you take me for?
So there I've duplicated the song, selected or duplicated what I had, and I'm just going to rearrange some things. So one of the main reasons I've done that is because of patterns. People like to relate to stuff that they can remember, and if you've got a nice little pattern that repeats itself in a song that's 4 minutes long, 5 minutes long, it's nice.
What kind of girl do you take me for?
So here we're going into the arrangement where I'm refining the things, refining bits on the drums, so on and so forth, using different parts of the song to enhance and show elements of this within the arrangement. With it being a dance track, duplicating the first half what I made, just spreads it out a bit. It gives me a guide to where to go. It is necessarily not going to be the finished product, as we will see later on. Just moving stuff over and lining it up.
take me for? What kind of girl do you take me for?
So as you can see, I wasn't happy with the kit because it kept jumping, so I had to edit that. And as you can see, I'm doing so here, making sure that it falls in line on the first beat. This is something that you have to do when you're using samples.
What kind of girl do you take me for? What kind of girl do you take me for? What kind of girl do you take me for? What kind of girl do you take me for?
So here I'm adding in another clap, a disco clap, to add a bit more rhythm dynamics to it.
What kind
I'm looking for a build-up element here. So what you can hear in the background, even though it's not playing, it's the synth. The channel is still on. So some synths do this. They just repeat if you've got a arpeggiator on it. So then you go in the automation and turn the channel off after the note's played, and it'll cut that out. So in this one, disclaimer, for the next 20 minutes you're just going to see the process of the automation. Unfortunately there's no sound, so I have sped up the footage. It is currently sitting at 20 minutes. If you do sit through this, congratulations. But you will see basically me just adding bits and bobs in. You've got risers, crashes. These are normally added on the drop points of a track just to add emphasis on that. You'll hear like a crash out when a beat hits, and you'll find these in all songs. If you are making songs at beginning level, this is something you need to look at too. If you're a bit further along than that, then obviously this is something you may already know. I go through just a few techniques, just adding stuff in. Then there's adding effects, reverb, leveling off and mixing down, and then moving along. Once I think I've found all the right sounds, then I'll move on to the mixing and mastering process of the song, which depends on how much work I've done previously on the mix down. Can take a short time or a very long time. I don't really want to put a time frame on it. My skills have reached this level over the last 10 years, so you know my skill levels are going to be a lot quicker, and processes are going to be a lot quicker than your average Joe or your beginner or other intermediates. There's other people that have been doing it shorter time than me that can do quick time videos on YouTube and TikTok and stuff. That's their process. It's the way they work. It's the way the cookie crumbles. But yeah, towards the end, the full song will be playing, the full remix. I hope you like it, and I'll talk through bits of it just to give a bit of insight on anything I'm doing effects wise. The sounds, if you have Logic, I'm using them from the actual Logic library, so these sounds you can go and find yourself and listen to, maybe use them in your song. There's an Angel Crash that I use, and it's also got a reverse riser as well. They are in probably 90% of all my songs I've produced, remixed. I like them, they're very good. You can chuck them in with most songs, to be fair. So here I'm adding a compressor to the drums, just to give them a bit of boost. I'll be It's very unfortunate you can't hear the sounds. I didn't speed it up too much because it was an hour long, so cutting it down any less than 20 minutes, I think you would have missed out on some information. So yeah, here again, I'm just going through selecting sounds. Can't wait for the library to load up. And here I'm just stacking stuff up so I can group them and then apply group effects or chuck them to a plus chain. See, I really don't understand why the session audio didn't record. I did them within half an hour of each other. I had a break in the middle. And all I did was stop it and come back again and press record again on the same project. So I really don't understand why it's not come through. But yeah, I'm just refining the sounds, trying to stick with the idea that the original idea from the beginning, the electro synthy pop style. Tend to just loop a section, a little loop, go through and play them. I mean, some people would play the whole section all the way through to get the feel. Uh, I don't wait like that. Just go bang, bang, bang. Nope, nope, nope. And see, I liked it, so I left it. It was literally a note that got me in, and I was like, yeah, that's the one I want. Some bits along, putting it in the intro, extending the loop back out again. Also, I decided to keep the same because we come from the last uh, arrangement session to the end track. It's a big gap. Like I say, it was an hour and a half session of me editing and going in. Finding the sounds from the track. I mean, if you've got this far, tip my hat off to you. And we're nearly halfway through the 20 minutes. So again, I'm changing the bass sound again. Waiting for the loop to come round. No, 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 no. Let's go to the bass. Listen to the bass. No. I'll wait for the presets. And no. Also, we got you here. Just a bit on doing remixes. Um, it's illegal without people's permission, more or less. Uh, if you're trying to make money off it, you will get lawsuits and probably lose most of your money from the track. So you can reach out if you've got a record label. Your record label can reach out and try to get permission for this. Obviously, you will have to pay royalties. With this, I'm just gonna put it up for free on SoundCloud, free download. If I get told to take it down, I take it down. You know, it's just there. It's a free remix. I'm not after any money off these. Never am off my remixes. Only original stuff. But yeah, that's part and part. So really, yeah, you should go out and try and clear your samples, whether that's getting them from a sample pack you've had of your friend. I mean, if you haven't bought it, you haven't got the rights. Most of my sample packs are bought. The acapellas were in a folder that I bought and downloaded. So there is ways around getting rights for acapellas and stuff. There is some certain applications out there that do have rights already. I believe that Splice is one of them. They have a lot of rights for a lot of samples that you can use freely, and they've already taken into consideration the royalties that are needed for that. But always make sure, always check, and just make sure you go right way, and then you won't get stung later on. So here I'm adding some automation for the arpeggiator on the sound for the bass. Go down to up. Again and back again. Did that all the way through the track. And then a few more moments and moving around effects. See, with copying the effects from other channels, all the effects then fall in line. You're not gonna get one that's randomly on a 16th or a 32, and then all the rest on an 8th. You're not gonna get that. doing that, you just click on it, hold down your options key or your alt key, and then drag it over and it'll duplicate it. It does that same with any MIDI pattern that you have in the automation field. So coming towards the end now, I'm going to play you the rest of the track, the full track, and you can watch out the rest of the automation. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed and found this informational. And please leave a comment. Thanks.
What kind of girl do you take me for? What kind of girl do you take me for?
Promiscuous girl, whatever you are, I'm all alone, and it's you that I want.
Promiscuous boy, you already know that I'm all yours. What you waiting for?
Promiscuous girl, you're teasing me. You know what I want, and I got what you need.